Hi, I'm Evan Hilton. This is my second podcast, and today I'm interviewing Thor Retzlaff. If you don't know him, he's a starter of a couple nonprofits. So first off, I will ask you, so you run two nonprofits. One is called Do Good Shit and one is called Wasted. How did they come to be?
Yeah, good question, Evan. And thank you so much for having me with you today. Excited to share a little bit of my journey. So this all started back in 2018 on the side of Mount Everest when I came face to face with a big human waste problem, a mismanaged human waste problem. And at the time, I had just co-founded a production company. And while we were at Mount Everest to capture incredible media, the one thing that stood out was this sanitation problem. And so with that, we decided to start the nonprofit called Do Good Shit. And we didn't know what the solution was, but the way we structured the nonprofit was that we wanted to go out on a mission to find what the solution is for better waste management in places like Mount Everest. So that's kind of how I started on the sanitation journey. Fast forward about a year, and co-founder Taylor Zarin and I are driving around the West Coast taking apart toilets. It was the most humbling, dirty work you could ever imagine. But we were going, it was full on, man. So we were going into these remote sites, taking apart toilets and learning about the problem in real time, right? You gotta see it, you gotta see the problem in real time. And what happened from there was a market opportunity emerged. And that was that urine diversion, or separating our waste streams at the source, toilet level, is a more effective way to manage our human waste. And so with that kind of opportunity in mind, we said, let's go invent a new toilet, right? Let's actually go build a toilet that separates waste with no behavior change. And so what happened from there is that we went from the nonprofit and we founded a benefit corporation. So Wasted is it's a for-profit, but the benefit corporation there means that it has a social impact good. So it's going to support the nonprofit Do Good Shit. So they're intertwined, but one thing I've learned is that you need to be able to make money to make impact. And so that's why we structured it as a benefit corporation.
Yeah, it's very true. And was there ever like a point in time when you were trying to get your, things running per se? Was there a time when you ever got discouraged or wanted to give up when you were just like, it's hard work, I know. So I'm curious.
Oh, I still do. I mean, I think it's natural for people of all calibers to go through the ebb and flow of confidence and doubt and all those various thoughts that arise in your mind. And early on, we really didn't know what we were doing, but we had an inclination to move with purpose towards this idea of solving this problem, right? Like we had an idea to go that route. And yes, there was definitely times where we didn't have any answers, but my whole MO, like the way I look at doing business, is you have to fall forward, right? If you're at like an indecision point, you don't really know what to do, then just make a decision and continue to learn from it, even if it's the wrong decision. So yes is the answer. And I probably will forever have doubts in my mind, but you just have to move past them.
Yeah. Well, sweet. And then my next question, how have your ideas affected areas that are still in need of waste solutions?
So how have the ideas within Wasted and Do Good Shit?
Exactly. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
Have there been people trying to take your ideas and like copy them? Have there been people that are trying to shut you down? What have you experienced with that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think for the most part, people don't think about waste really, right? So you go to the bathroom in your house and you flush the toilet and then you continue your day, right? Out of sight, out of mind.
Yep.
And so a lot of what we do at Wasted is we teach people that there's a lot more to your waste than just flushing it down the drain, right? And so I think that the idea of Wasted and how to think about our waste is very, people want to engage with it because they can relate to it. And so we have customers. We currently have paying customers that we are solving their sanitation problem because we're thinking about it in a different way. So I would say for the most part, people are definitely aligning with the idea of solving waste in a more regenerative manner.
Yeah, that's good. It's cool too, because I feel like generally it was kind of an untapped market that you guys got into, which is really cool because it's getting a solution to a problem that not many people can recognize.
Yeah.
And this brings me to my next question. How has working in this field improved your lifestyle?
Mm. That's a good question. I think it's brought a lot of humility to my life. And I think that in a world where it's easy to be caught up in your own hubris and ego takes the wheel, realizing that there are far greater problems like dignified access to sanitation that, you know, quarter of the world's population doesn't have access to.
Right.
And it's like you really get humbled in the fact that, you know, the way I grew up and the way I'm currently living, I'm so fortunate to be able to go live the way I can. And so through this line of work, my eyes have been opened to what true impact and innovation in something like sanitation can do for people that don't have the privilege that we may have. So I would say humility has been a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, sweet. And then for my next question, how have you secured your brand deals with sponsorships and companies? What tips do you have for someone that's looking to create a lasting relationship with a brand? I know that's a big part of you. You know, you had 111. Now Taylor has Yerba Mate. You guys are out there. I'm seeing you on Instagram pages. So I'm just curious, like, how did you start with that, and what's brought you to where you are with the whole, influencer thing?
Yeah, I think that kind of line of work goes a little bit beyond wasted and more into like personal life.
Yeah.
But I do think that they coincide still. And my answer, Evan, is you have to be authentic.
Right.
What does that mean? It means what wakes you up in the morning? What gets you excited?
Right.
How can you take that authenticity and tell your story? Is that capturing video? Is that photos? Is that podcasts?
Right.
And then you can essentially package that story, who you are, and present that to a brand and say, hey, Goyaki, I really love your product and it fits well with my lifestyle.
Right.
Like, I do this anyway. This is me being authentic. Would you want to partake in supporting my journey? Right. And so like, that's kind of the process. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's you got to be authentic with yourself, because if you're forcing yourself to do brand sponsored content, you're going to burn out. And I've been there and I've burned out on it. Right. And so you need to really align with stuff that you want to be doing.
Yeah. You don't want to change up your whole lifestyle just to have one brand like you more. Like, it's more like you said, be authentic and natural with yourself. So good advice. Let's see. Next question. When traveling for work, what are ways you try to minimize your impact on the local environment?
So fortunately right now, I'm not really traveling much for work, but in the past, some of the international installations we've done down in Chile and Argentina, more recently Nepal, we work with the local community to source transportation means, right? So like, for example, if we're installing a toilet in Torres del Paine, then instead of flying the toilet in, we would work with local porters to carry them in, right? Yep. Same in Nepal. Instead of flying them up to Lukla and then going from there, we work with local porters to bring the materials up the Khumbu Valley. So it's really kind of, and that's more on the do get shit side. And then not so much now, but looking later, our company Wasted, we're going to be using an electrical fleet. What that means is that all of our trucks that are going to be servicing our toilets are going to be electric powered.
Yeah, it's really good too, because I know especially in a lot of the areas you are, like, being sustainable is a big thing, because sometimes in areas like, from what I've observed outside of our country, there's a lot less sustainability. Like in Nepal, I know they don't have like emission standards and their trash has a big issue. So pivoting towards more sustainability at the source is a lot better. And that's really cool to hear.
And I think a big part about that, Evan, is, you need to make sustainability more attractive than linear models, right? Like
Right.
you need to make it so it's a no-brainer to go a sustainable or regenerative route. You got to take more stakeholders into mind.
For
And
sure.
when you can educate through that, then people adopt it with ease.
Mhm. Yeah, good stuff. And then this is my second to last question. Is there anything that you look back on that you may have done differently now that you're this far into work? Um,
That's a good question. Um, I, when you say what I've done differently,
yeah,
my answer to that is I wouldn't have done anything differently. And it's an interesting answer because I wouldn't be sitting right here sharing the thoughts and my current perspectives I have right now if I did anything differently. I think that what I would have preferred I had done was reflected more and documented my thoughts earlier on. I think one of the most powerful things on this journey is at both an individual and a collective level, being able to reflect on what decisions and actions we are making and how that affects other people around us.
yeah,
So I think that, while I wouldn't have said I would have made this decision or that, reflecting on the outcomes of that in a productive way, whether that's writing your thoughts down or recording them or just communicating with your team, I would have invested more time into that early on. And now that I am doing it, I realize how valuable it is.
it's good stuff. Yeah, sweet. And then last question. I know this one's a little bit of just like a throwaway question, but it is important to probably some of the people watching this. What's your favorite yerba mate flavor?
Mm, Trick question. I love loose leaf the most.
Okay,
I will drink
straight up.
loose leaf all day. Yeah, I love like the hot
Yep.
loose leaf. I mean, I literally drink it all day. It's the
Yeah.
best. So
First,
that's my answer.
first time I tried it, it was a little bit like it
Tastes
was
like
an
hay.
experience. It was a spiritual awakening for sure.
Good.
But
Nice.
yeah,
Nice friend drop.
yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking the time for me to interview you.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean that's basically it, unless you have anything else to add.
Um, I don't think I do, Evan. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Actually, I'm a big advocate for quotes, so I'm gonna drop a quote right now.
Okay.
Okay. I just have
Awesome.
to remember it. Okay. You ready?
Yep.
If courage isn't the absence of fear, but moving past it, then thinking big isn't the absence of doubts, just moving past them.
That's a good one.
There you go.
Sweet. Yeah, good stuff. And then for everyone watching on YouTube, I'm gonna make sure to link Thor's socials as well as Taylor's, Do Good Shit, Wasted, all of that. I'll put it down in the description below. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.